there. I thought she got the ball.
Yes, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Irish Hotspur. Happy Monday, happy President's Day. If you are an American fellow Yank like myself enjoying your long weekend, or if you're somewhere else in the world and just enjoying your Monday, hopefully you are. Thanks for joining me for this Tottenham Hotspur hangover. We're going to be doing some player ratings, a little bit of tactical breakdown. The really good part of the tactical breakdown will be over on BigUp. So pinned at the top of the chat, as you can see, follow us over there. There will be a stream immediately after this one. So the moment this one ends, just join me over there, click that link, and also come on, feel free to come on and join me on stage over on BigUp as we break down some really cool video highlights. It's something that we can't actually do over here on YouTube for copyright reasons and various other reasons, for it really not even being that possible. Whereas on BigUp, it's a lot smoother and it's a lot easier. And I think it's a very unique feature over there that we will be using, and they're encouraging us to use, and they want you guys to see us using because they think it will drive more and more people over there to check out what they have on stores. So please, everybody, do support us over there. And also thanks for joining me over on this stream, and good to see so many people in here already. I do really appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, we'll be doing some player ratings. We'll take a look at some of the player average positions. We'll take a look at some of the stats as well. And I also have maybe a little bit of a section where, not really a section, more like, in case I need to reference something or anything like that, I'm going to be using Football Reference, FB Reference. So it should be a lot of fun. Thanks to the people that are in here already with me. Really do appreciate it. It looks like I already have Dan in the house. Thank you, Berbatov's Halftime Smoke. Appreciate you've been very, very kind to me of recent, mate. So I do really appreciate you. And then Dermatron sending in a 10 euro thank you. Thank you, Dermo. I mean, you made an effort to try to come on yesterday. I was surprised. I had no idea that the sickness was really that bad, actually, because that did not sound good, man. That did not sound like something I would ever want to have, or any even 50% of what you were experiencing. It just sounded rough, man. It sounded really rough on the throat, really rough on the chest as well. So Dermo, hopefully you're already starting to feel a bit better, and you're on the mend sometime soon, sir. But no need to thank me. Thanks for supporting Dave and I in all the ways that you do, and thanks for even making an effort. You've been a superstar for us for a long time, and on the pre-match buildups, I think you have, it's almost like a 99.99 percent attendance rate on those. So you've been absolutely tremendous, Dermo. So thanks for making an effort, and hopefully you start feeling a little bit better, sir. Really do appreciate the generous support with the super chat as well. And then Connor's in the house. Good to see you, Connor. How are you? All right, lads. Hopefully Dave is well soon. I can only speak from what I've heard from Dave. He said he might be back in the next 1 or 2 days. I think you just got to go by what he says, though, and take it from there. I can't, I'm not his doctor, and I can't really speak for him. Connor, Mark Newsom, big up, David Jack, Harris Army, marches on. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris Army. Good to see you, Marky New. Alpesh Patel, afternoon, Dave and Jack. Went to the game yesterday, very tired from my night shift, either side of the game, resting and watching you guys. Alpesh, to be able to go to the game and then go to a night shift immediately afterwards, that sounds tough. It sounds very tough. Are you in the service industry? Or are you security guard? Or are you working, maybe at sort of a store or factory late at night? You don't even need to tell me, but it sounds tough, my man. It sounds very, very tough. But thanks for still making the time for us. Thanks for still supporting Dave and I in the ways that you do. And I hope that you had a great time at the game. Hopefully you had a good time. If you participated in the protest as well, retail store. Yeah, I figured, sometimes at retail stores, you have to be open pretty late. And Alpesh, with the protests, hopefully, you maybe got a chance to participate in some of that, whether it was the sit-in or whether it was, the march beforehand, or at least you got to get a glimpse of some of the scenes. So should hopefully you had a good time, and would look like a really, really good atmosphere, and look like, a lot of what was planned and a lot of what was organized beforehand really went according to plan and really went quite smoothly. So I'm quite happy for every Spurs fan that was involved in it, and just every Spurs fan that, like yourself, got to have a good time out there. Who doesn't love beating Manchester United? Artist T saying he's sick. Did you try the Jets Jack? I have not, Artist T. I have not tried the Jets Jack. But saying my name out loud, I did, though, mark it in my Google Maps. So anytime that I am going to be passing through Linwood, Edmonds kind of area, I am going to be definitely, picking something up, or at least just popping my head in the store and see what I can sort of muster. But I will. I have it saved in the Google Maps. In case I'm driving that direction, I would know that I would be passing it. Artist T. The issue is, and let me know what you think of this. I don't think it's a huge deal, but it's probably no traffic between me and kind of that area of Edmonds. It's probably about like 30 to 45 minutes driving. I think a pizza obviously can hold that long, but you definitely are going to lose some of the good heat and some of the good, I don't know if it's flavor really, but you know what I mean? Sometimes there's that nice first, piece of pizza that just comes really nice and fresh and hot. But maybe I just enjoy it in the car while on my way home, while I'm really, really hungry or something like that. But you know what I'm trying to say. I think it's like a special case scenario where hopefully I'm passing by where I'm hungry enough to grab a pizza on my way to somewhere or on my way home from somewhere. Artist tea, but it is a bit out of the ways. I'm really looking forward to trying it. Dark Sun G, good to see you as always, and thanks for all the support yesterday, Dark Sun G. Saying we really missed Big Vic for the past 3 to 4 months. What was it? I think the stat Dark Sun G everybody's banding about was we were fifth in the league before Vicario got his injury. Now look where we are, right? And maybe not a coincidence. And I think you were proven right when it came to the Fraser Forster goalkeeper replacement. It kind of, to me, there were other issues when it came to the defense, to the not necessarily actually the defense. I thought did all right for the most part. It was more just the forward line that just continues to let us down. Dark Sun G. Still, even after last night's game, still don't think we're that clinical of a team. But I think with the goalkeeper issues that we've been having, it did I think you were proven right in that regard. Fraser Forster wasn't good enough, and then Vicario has pulled off tremendous saves in that last game to keep us in it. He's probably just behind Jed Spence's, perhaps probably my man of the match, I'd say. And then just the saves that he was making under pressure, in really crucial moments, wasn't caving, wasn't cracking or any kind. And also, I think the parries that he was making were really, really strong. Sometimes he did a really good job of parrying it, far away from any dangerous United player that could have came on, to tap it in or, fire in another shot right at him, right? Whereas you look at Onana in his case, had that shot from Bergvall, gets down to it, in my opinion, quite slowly. And then also when he does get down to it, you really do, as a goalkeeper, have to really practice on punching that as far out as possible because Onana just taps that like what, 3-4 yards in front of him. Almost any player that's poaching, like Madison does there, is ready to tap that home. Whereas Vicario, when Vicario makes that save, you really see him push it out, far away from the danger area. And that's just one of the key fundamentals that I think people might think might go unnoticed actually with goalkeepers. And that could be the difference between a goal and it could be the difference between a save and then leading to a goal. Or yeah, I think you know what I'm trying to say. As a goalkeeper, it's sometimes the simple saves, even you have to really focus on the parry and you have to really focus about where you're pushing it out. And I think Vicario really showed that skill in the last game. Dermo says, Berbatov's halftime smoke. Good to see Dermo. And thanks, Dan, for supporting me in the chat as well. Dark Sun G saying, I can't wait to see a defender of Vicario or a defense of Vicario, Jed, Kuti, Van de Ven, and Udogi. That'll be a lot of fun, Darks and G. Talk about also the pace in that back line as well. Van de Ven, Udogi, Jedi, probably one of the fastest defenses you could ever really come up with or ever imagine. And then when it comes to, Romero, I think what we've been missing from a guy like Romero, and I understand maybe some people aren't too hot on Romero right now, but what we have been missing, I feel like, is that guy that can really pick out passes from the back line that can give us an even deeper sort of sense of control in the game because there are periods where even when we are kind of, I would say, in the ascendancy and in the control of games, we do tend to give it away, pretty lazily and pretty poorly at times. And I think if you just had a guy like a Romero in the side who can receive the ball under pressure and pick out really good passes, but also if you give him time and space to pick out a pass, he can really hurt teams and he can really play those dangerous sort of balls that he kind of zips along the floor through the midfield lines that ends up going into a dangerous player like a Madison or Kulusevski in the areas that you want them to receive it. So I think, getting someone like Romero will be amazing for in possession. But of course, someone like Jedi, Udogi, that will be great for just, tightening things up a bit more defensively and making it even harder for teams to try to take us on, really. But completely agree, Dark Sanjay. I'm really looking forward to it. It looks like, from what we can tell, as long as there are no more big injuries that happen, things definitely should be on the up. Things definitely should be on the up. So hopefully people are feeling good about Spurs at the moment. J Mac, good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Alpesh Patel need to do the quad against those Manx. Let's just call it Man Sice. Maybe I'm very early my time this morning and also at a late night, Alpesh. So probably not as sharp and not as witty as I am. Davey Ladd, get better soon. Thanks, J Mac. JTB, think Jedi can keep Poro or Undogi out of the team. JTB, big up Jack and get well soon. Thanks, JTB. Well, without further ado, everybody, I'm going to get this thing started. By the way, and I'm just going to say this to anybody that is a fan show member, you're welcome to join me for this stream. You're welcome to come on, give your player ratings, sort of, bounce back and forth with myself on some of the stats as well. But then I also really encourage you guys to, like I said, follow over the link, follow me over to the Big Up stream where we'll be going live and we'll be doing video highlights. And it's something that we can't do over here. It's copyrighted over here. We would get in big trouble for it. And also, even if it were possible, I'm not too sure if it would kind of go out and sort of come across as well as I think it can over on that Big Up platform. So please, everybody, support us over there. That stream will be happening immediately after I'm done here. So no need to grab a drink or even a snack unless you have the time for it. But you can just hop on over, sprint on over, and join me on stage as well. So I'm encouraging you guys to join me on stage and have a chat with me, especially on the Big Up platform, which I think would be a lot of fun. But without further ado, let's get this one started. We're going to start first with the player average positions. Start with Spurs here. I think this isn't anything that's too crazy. It's actually a very beautiful symmetrical shape to some degree, right? Where you're seeing Bentancur strictly in the middle, then with the likes of Bergvall and Madison almost kind of equilateral with each other in the midfield. There's just a slight, maybe left-sided kind of edge to our team, or kind of tilt to our team here, where we're always kind of seemingly maybe pointed towards shifting it maybe to Sonny's side, or when we do try to shift it to the wide areas, it's often Sonny receiving it very far in the wide areas than he is maybe on the right side. Let's say in the case of Kulusevski, who likes to cut inside that bit more. But if you look at the player average positions there, I think that actually looks quite symmetrical for the most part. Maybe Pedro Porro pushing a little bit higher than the likes of Jed Spence in this game, but I do like the shape of this, and I think it's a very cohesive one. Looking at Man United's in comparison, it's something that does resemble a 3-4-3 as well. There isn't something that's too radical or anything that's too surprising about it. So that's all I can really touch on that, unless anybody has any real takeaways on the average positions there. I actually think this is a beautiful symmetrical shape from Spurs. Nothing that I can tell really that shows any real emphasis or any real, influence that we were trying to play things down a certain side, or we were trying to, maybe have a player play slightly out of position in some plays to take advantage of something. I'm not getting any of that from these player average positions. And I also don't recall any of that from even the game in general. But feel free to let me know, please, everybody in the chat. Berbatov's halftime smoke saying, I think he could keep Porro out if Udogie comes back and is better than he was before the injury. I think that's the big call for Ange, is once Udogie is fit and available, does he think about, dropping Pedro Porro for a few games, using him as more of an impact sub, because he can be a good attacking, player to bring on, right? If we end up being a bit, let's say, stifled in a game, we end up not really having that sort of attacking impetus. We would need someone like Pedro Porro who can pick out nice passes. Also, is probably one of the better technicians in the team when it comes to being able to either play a nice pass, put in a good cross, just do things on a technical level that others can't really do in the team. So I think Pedro Porro could be a good impact sub for us. And then we know that defensively, as much as I rate him going forward, defensively, Pedro Porro has been a little bit of a liability, and has been a guy that does get caught out, always seems to be tucked way too far in, alongside the center backs. He struggles to get out to sort of meet his fullback in a good enough area. He seems to give them way too much space to work with. And I think Jedi is shown to be a much, much better defender than Pedro Porro. And he's also in recent games shown to be about as good as anybody else in the team, and also kind of creating chances for us. Jed Spence has just been the all around player for the Spurs team. So I think he immediately, takes up Pedro Porro's position. It's just, how does Ange, sort of work things out from there? And can he find a way to maybe give a good rotation where, I don't know, maybe he can sub off Jed Spence or move Jed Spence to the left, take Udogie off, put Pedro Porro in on the right, kind of halfway through the game, something like that. Um, Berbatov is correct. Only if Udogie reaches the levels of last year. Funny you say that, J Mac. I actually don't. I think Udogie hasn't had a brilliant season by any means, but I actually don't think he's had as poor of a season as others have made it out to be. I think maybe that could be more laid on, even though Pedro Porro has played a lot of games. Let's be honest, we have to be fair to him to some extent, right? He's played so many games that he's definitely very, very tired and fatigued and does need some rest. But I feel like Pedro Porro personally has actually maybe had a worse season than Destiny Udogie. That's just me though, and that's only my opinion just this morning. Maybe it will change sometime soon. Let's take a look at some of the stats here. You can see that Spurs actually finished the game with a higher expected goals tally, which is good to see. Maybe if you need that confirmation that Spurs were maybe the better team in terms of creating chances. But then also we had more percent of possession, big chances. Man United did waste some big ones. The Garnacho one very much comes to mind, and also some others there that they just couldn't really put away for some reason. Total shots, though, we had more than them. Goalkeeper saves, just about the same there. More corners to us. We actually fouled them more as well, and we completed more passes on the day than they did. But that is the stats. Again, it's nice to see that Spurs, I think in the second half, actually started to create more chances on a regular basis than Man United did. Whereas in the first half, despite us being 1-0 to the good, was a little nervy. Man United did have, I think, majority of their better chances in that first half, if I recall, than it was really in the second half. I think in the second half, they weren't really as dangerous, in my opinion. But let's get into some of the player ratings here. This is, of course, Sofa scores player ratings, which we will be making some corrections to. They are not my player ratings. But Guglielmo Vicario, please, everybody, let me know in the chat what you think of Vicario. I think he was just behind Jet Spence in the overall man of the match. But it looks like Sofa score has given it to Vicario. I think with Vicario, I think an 8.5 actually is just about right. I think an 8 seems like an 8 if you want to be like really by the books or something like that when it comes to player ratings. I could see an 8 being okay, but I'd give him an 8.5. He did literally nothing wrong in the game. I don't think he ever had to make a totally world class save, like something that's just completely crack like that, we know Vicario can do. I never recalled any of that happening, but any of the saves he was asked to make, he did them excellently and did them perfectly to a point that he didn't give Man United many chances at a second sniff or any chances at a second opportunity. So I think Vicario had a great day. Playing out from the back, I don't think there were too many sketchy moments, or if any at all. And you have to think about that too, because Kinski in recent games has been a little bit sketchy, I think, in possession, whereas Vicario was just fine. I think Man United, though, weren't really a team that were pressing us that high up the pitch, let's be fair. But maybe they also knew that Vicario wasn't a guy to put under pressure because he hasn't really made that many big, high profile mistakes in possession. So, really good day from Vicario. He had also one or two really good punches, I thought, from set pieces. I don't recall any sketchy moments from him set pieces because that's the big area of weakness, right? That we always bring up with Vicario is that he has the issues with dealing with the set pieces, but pretty much every other aspect of his game, for the most part, he's actually quite good and quite sound. So I think an 8.5 is perfectly spot on. Unless somebody would go higher, would someone go as high as 9? Let me know. Darkson G's going for an 8.5. Berbatov's halftime smoke saying swap Bergie and Benny. Do you mean that with the player ratings? Is that what you mean there, Berbatov? Let me know, sir. We also have J-Mac saying Spence has the correct balance for a fullback. Good levels in both defending and attacking. Yeah, he is more balanced player by far than Pedro Porro. That's for sure. Dark Sun G went for an 8.5. I'm in total agreement with you there, sir. San Diego FC, good to see you. Saying we just got out of 2 cups and I don't want to hear about fatigue. Well, I mean, I think, after this week, we'll have another week break. I don't think we should be hearing about fatigue anymore. But I think players like Pedro Porro, who have played more minutes than pretty much any other footballer in Europe at this moment, STFC, I think we can at least give Pedro Porro a tiny bit of a pass, or maybe we can mention the word fatigue when it comes to him and when it comes to maybe players like Kulusevski as well, and 2 degrees Sunny, who I think, if again, I'm not mistaken, I believe they played some of the most minutes of any player in Europe. But now that we're out of the 2 cup competitions, they have plenty of time to recover, like you say, plenty of time to recover. Joff Totten, good to see you, Joff, out in Perth, absolute legend. Morning, Jack and all. Thanks, Joff, for supporting the channel, sir, and hopefully you're keeping okay. Hopefully you're enjoying your summer at the moment. Dark Sun G saying, it's a shame Vicario returned 1 week after the cup. Yeah, man. I think the timing of the returns was really unfortunate for us. You look at Van de Ven's recovery, Romero's recovery. I think we all wanted them to be back for the Liverpool game or at least the Aston Villa game at the latest. They didn't return for that. No Dogi, no Odebear. I think for those 2 cup games, a big letdown, Dark Sunji, was we went into them pretty much with no reinforcements other than the very, very late signings of Matisse Tell and Kevin Downso, who weren't given any sort of opportunity to really, get used to the team or the system before those games either. So Spurs weren't going into those games really with any boost of returning players or any time, with the newer signings to sort of embed themselves into the team. I think we did set ourselves up to fail really in those cup games. Of course, injuries, not a whole lot you can do about it at the end of the day. But, the way we were going into that, it didn't look like it was going to be, a strong likelihood of Spurs being able to get past both, Aston Villa and Liverpool. If maybe the injury recovery time, sort of periods went a little bit differently, it could have been a different story. And we do look like a much better team with these guys coming back in. So, it was a big shame, Dark Sun G. And we also know that Kinski did make some mistakes, in the recent games, especially in the second leg of I believe right against Liverpool, and then also I think in in the Aston Villa game, right? He's been making some mistakes, and had it been Vicario, maybe it would have been a very different story. Maybe it would have been a very different story. Yeah, the rating says Berbatov. Spence for me is a 9. Let's go on to Jet Spence then, everybody. JTB Vicario 8 from me. Great to have him back. And we were lucky. Garnacho's missed that sitter 100%, but it's not Vicario's fault that Garnacho missed it. And I think to a degree, Kevin Donzo maybe gets some credit for putting him off slightly. J Max saying for his first game back, Vicario was immense. Matters not too far behind. We will definitely get to Madison. I think the 7.9 there, I think that's what it says. Apologies, everybody doing a little bit of an eye test. I think that's actually quite harsh on Madison. I think he gets definitely at least an 8 from me. But let's go to Jet Spence. I think he deserves a 9. Once again, like someone brought up from earlier, another very complete performance from him, both going forward defensively. He put himself in really good areas to cut out danger, had some really good tackles, some really good blocks, some good clearances. And then there were plenty of moments where he took advantage of the space, when there was maybe a chance to go forward, to carry us with the ball. He did it without being asked twice. And there were times when he skinned Mazraoui, was able to skin, I believe, Diego Dallo, no problem as well. I think Jet Spence had a terrific day, both defensively and going forward. Took his space really well, created good opportunities for us. There were a few times when he was able to maraud forward and play a pass into Sonny, who then had space to make a decision to make something happen, or played in some decent crosses, I believe with, kind of some poked, kind of style crosses, because he is a right-footed player on that left side. Jet Spence was just immense, and was the best defender, I think, out of all 4 in that back line. But let's go on to Ben Davies, unless I'm missing something with Jet, and all I have is praise, really. But is there any maybe specific moments that people can think of in the game that Jet had that were really impressive? He did have that really good run against Mazraoui that I can recall, and there were some decent, moments where, like I said, there was space in front of him in that midfield, and I thought he took it really, really well. Just gonna drink there, but Ben Davis, let's go to him. Ben Daddy Davis, I think he's done very, very well once again. It's just kind of a shame because I think he made a mistake against, it was either Liverpool or Aston Villa. I think it was the Liverpool game. He made a mistake in one of the goals that we conceded. But for the most part, he's been in great, great form, has been consistently solid for us. Thought he made some good blocks. Once again, always at the right place at the right time to maybe cut out danger. In possession, he's never really made any sort of things that have caused me concern or any sort of frustrations at all. I think that's what's also kind of the big surprises about Ben Davis is maybe in previous sort of regimes and previous managers, I think he was a bit guilty occasionally of the sideways passing and the sort of passing on responsibility onto others in possession, asking others to, make the more difficult passes. But I think Ben Davis, since being in the Ange Postecoglou system, has really shown, maybe some of his skills and being able to play out from the back. He's not a guy that is, I would say, guilty of the sideways passing that I thought he might have been before with previous systems and previous managers. So once again, at the right place at the right time, just solid, really. Right? I think that's what you just consistently say about Ben Davis. Yeah, J Mac right there. I didn't even see your comment. Davis quietly solid. I think that's exactly it. He's just either put in really, really good displays where you recall definitely plenty of moments where he put himself in good areas to cut out danger, or he's just had such a quietly solid display that it's just nothing but praise. And for the most part for this season, it's been nothing but praise for me for Ben Davis. And then on to Kevin Donzo. Kevin Donzo, I actually thought this was his best game in a Spurs shirt personally by probably a considerable bit, because against Aston Villa, what I think he did all right against Villa, but in possession, there were periods where I think he had decent passes available to him. He just ended up overcooking a lot of them, if you guys remember, where he would play them out of bounds, or they ended up going out of play. And I thought, Kevin Donzo, from what I could tell, he's a guy that wants to try to make, forward passes. He wants to try to play progressive passes. It's just that, he's not really the, maybe someone that's as technically, proficient as maybe Romero is. But in this game, he looked, a lot more comfortable, started to actually pick out some nice passes also as well, made himself available. I love some of the times that he just ventured forward to be an option, a passing option for players. He seems to be buying into the system, or he's definitely really trying to impress Ange with moving himself about, being an option in possession. But then he also had at 1 or 2 points really, really good recoveries, with that pace and that athleticism that he has, right? One of those I think tackles that he had to make to run him behind to catch up with might have been Garnacho or Xerxes or Hoyland. I think it might have been Hoyland that he had to chase after, and he did really, really well. Kevin Donzo showing that recovery pace. So I'd give him an 8, 7.5, like 8. 8 maybe seems generous, but 7.5 seems kind of uh, like, almost undershorting him or, like, right on level. If you were maybe a neutral, maybe you'd give, like, a 7.5. Let me know what you guys think of Donzo. What would you give Donzo? I'd give Davies, like, a 7.5. I'd give Donzo probably also a 7.5, but could you say he had a better game than Davis? Maybe he had more kinda crucial, clearances or kind of moments defensively than the likes of Davies. 7.7 for Donzo. Madison 8. Love that, Darkson G. Let's move on to Poro then quickly. Poro had some good moments, I think, going forward in this game. I would say this, though, like defensively, he still makes me nervous. There were times, especially in that first half, where they play a ball to the back post and there's just no one there. Like, it's just Pedro Poro is just never there to be found sometimes. And it does cause me concern. And it would be great to get Jed Spence over to that side just to see the difference and maybe how he tries to handle some of those crosses towards the back post or some of those switches or some of those decent balls and behind the back line. Maybe Jet Spence would just show us how to deal with them just a bit better than Pedro Porro has. But going forward, I thought he was fine. I thought he created some good chances. I actually would say that in the past few games, for the most part, with Pedro Porro, is that defensively just always gives me a little bit of nerves. But going forward, he's effective and he's dangerous and he plays decent passes. He can put in good crosses. He's put himself in good areas, and I think is showing some improvement in the last few games. But once again, maybe out of everybody in the back line, I wouldn't really show him the most praise by any means. That's just me. So I'll go for like a 7, with Pedro. I think he deserves maybe a 7. 6.5, would someone go as low as that? 6.5, 7? Am I being harsh? Am I missing something with Pedro? Do let me know. Let's go with Jed being this good as a left back. Do we need to buy a backup left back, because our right back options would be Poro and Gray, and left back is Udogi and Spence. I think at the moment, I think you just look to try to play Jed as much as possible, and he might for next season. Hard to say for me, Dark Sunji, because I would like there to be a rotation between Jed and Poro. I think you still look to get another left back person. I think you still look to get another left back, because we've seen struggles, this season, even with Poro and Spence, playing game in, game out. With Poro maybe showing the signs of fatigue and starting to starting to get sort of targeted in games. So I might go for still another fullback option, over the summer. I do see what you're trying to say, though. Like, with Jed Spence being so good as a backup left back, can you find someone that's as good as him, to play that role? Because he really is making it his own, and he's almost putting in better performances than Destiny Udogi has over there. So it is a valid argument to make, man. Davies quietly solid. It's not a coincidence that they once Dyer gets shipped out of the season, Davies becomes a better center. It is one of the things that maybe I might have to owe Davies an apology for. Dark Sun G is just looping him in with the Sanchez's and the Dyers of the world. I wonder if there is something to that. I wonder if there's something to that. J Mac Danzo has adapted to the system so quickly. He's the player as I was expecting Dragishin to be. Radu is still young, though, so still time. That's a very decent point. With their physical build is so similar, Radu Dragishin and Kevin Danzo, right? But maybe when you look at it, perhaps the likes of Kevin Donzo has just adapted, both kind of when it comes to playing in possession, playing out from the back, but then also just defensively has just looked that little bit more experienced, solid, and maybe just has that know-how more than Radu Dragshin does. And he doesn't look nearly as clunky as Radu does. Radu looks even clunkier than Kevin Donzo does. And I wouldn't say Kevin Donzo is even the most aesthetic, let's say, on the ball, or even the most technical, but he's trying things and he's able to get it off. He's able to pull it off. Danny Darko, Big Up Jack, and all in the chat. Thank you, Danny. 6.9. Nice. Chris Antonio, hopefully you're doing okay. Let's go into the midfield now. Bentancur and Barrickball, we'll take those. Bentancur, I think another solid display, but wasn't by any means, I think, the best midfielder in the team. I'd go like a 7 for Bento. Thought he was really good, though. I thought he, made some good runs actually into the box. There are a few times when he stretched the Man United backline by just being a willing runner, being a guy that could make himself available. I think he played a part in the goal that we ended up scoring, where he made a decent run to the flank. Pedro Porro was able to find him out there, whipped in that cross towards the back post to Sonny. Sonny then, hit it with his left foot, took a good deflection onto Barrickball. Barrickball shoots it, Madison taps it in. So in a sense, kind of the initial move does, in my opinion, kind of start off with a bit of nice work from Pedro Porro and Bentancur. So Bentancur did play a part in one of the goals, and I think in general didn't make any real mistakes that I can think of, or didn't have any really poor moments. So I'd give him a 7. Let me know if I'm missing anything on Bentancur. Anybody? Maybe I'll try to after this. We'll take a look at FB Ref if we have time for it. But if I had Dave with me, then I'd be able to stall while he was talking. Sometimes when doing this, Lucas Bergvall. Again, like maybe something with Bentancur. I can't really say, that he put any foot wrong in the game, but he played a big part, of course, in the goal, was at the right place at the right time, fired a decent enough shot to force Onana into a decent save. And then from there, with Bergvall, I think, he was solid on the day, but he was taken off relatively early. Hard to say. Let me know with Bergvall. I'm kind of I'm missing things, here. I feel like I should probably have a bit more to say about him, but all I can say is that he was pretty solid. I don't think he was poor by any means, and I don't think he put much of a foot wrong either out of possession or in possession on the day. Bergvall 7.1. Totally ran a very experienced Casemiro. Love that, Dark Sun G. Yeah, I'd go sevens for both of them. I'd go sevens for both of them. Kulusevski with a very, very poor rating. That's interesting in this game. He got a 6. Or sorry, I'm skipping Madison. Forgive my manners matters. Forgive my manners. Let's go to Madison, everybody. 8.5, 8.5, same as Vicario. I think he was just behind Jed Spence, maybe as the best player on the day. Maybe if he had played all 90 minutes, we might have given it to Madison, because if he had stayed on the pitch that bit longer, maybe we would have gotten the second goal. He was running the show. He had at one point also a brilliant tackle to win the ball back. Sometimes with Madison, even though I know he is often criticized for not being, maybe the best, defensive presence, of all of the midfielders. I think he tries, in games. I think there are plenty of moments that go unnoticed where he is putting in, a decent tackle to get stuck in and try to win the ball back. And he does put in a shift, for the press. It's just, can he do it for the whole 90 minutes? But maybe that's a different story. But I always have said this season. I think we are a better team most of the time when Madison is starting the game rather than having him on the bench. I don't think he does us much good when he comes off the bench. I think he does us a whole lot better when he starts games, because he tends to start games with kind of a chip on his shoulder. He's looking to try to maybe grab an early goal, create early moments. He seems to start games well, Madison. But then he kind of starts the game, in a good creative type of influence where I think the players can start to feel more confident having a guy like him in the team. He tends to pick out passes that no one else does. He attempts things no one else does. He knows how to get turned. He knows how to run through the midfield. And I think it kind of gets everybody sort of into a comfortable mindset, of how they want to play this system. And he's a good player to sort of bring the best out of others when it comes to this Ange ball or whatever you want to call it, right? So I think Madison really ran the show in possession, but then also put in a decent shift out of possession. Really, really good on him to stay on sides to tap that home as well, for the goal. So really, really amazing, performance from Madison. I wouldn't say though this was like my favorite of him this season. Like I think this was just what we've been missing for a while now. This was like a glimpse of, yeah, what we've been missing with Madison, right? He's the guy that definitely would have been great to have, for this period where this team really struggled to create chances and really struggled to create chances on a regular basis and put away some of them. And Madison's just that extra player that can either score you a goal or create a goal for you. So I think he had a great day, and I would give him an 8.5, something around that. So let me know, everybody. Would you go higher? Would you go something as high as 9? I just don't think it was like my favorite Madison performance of the season. I think he's had far better ones this year, which speaks to, I think, him having an all right season. Sometimes it's been made out that he's had a bad season this year. I don't think that's the case. I think he's had a pretty good season. It's just, he ends up picking up injuries. There are big games where he can go missing, and that's definitely something for another conversation. But in this game, I think that was close to some of the best we'll get from Madison, and it still wasn't the very best, though. So that's why I'd leave it at like an 8.5 instead of maybe the 9s or something higher that I've probably given him in the past. Madison totally outshined Bruno. Absolutely outshined Bruno. Very good point. Bergvall was so good, says Eric Dig. Bergvall, like Davis, quietly efficient. Yeah, I felt that way with Bentancur and Bergvall, and just sort of quietly did their job, J Mac. I would agree there. He's also saying it was good to see Bergvall stayed on his feet a lot more in this game and was not giving away too many cheap fouls. Yeah, two things with Bergvall that he was slightly guilty of. He ended up putting in some some very dodgy challenges at times in games that were obvious yellow cards, if not more. And then also I would say, like, can be a little too brave on the ball. There were moments, I think in previous games this season where his touch was a little heavy or he was trying something, but then he ended up giving it away in poor areas. I can't recall any of that in this game. Maybe a little too low for Kulu, but a lot of inefficient play for him. Well, unless anybody else has any final thoughts on Madison there that I've been missing, now that I've been ranting for so long, I feel like I just repeat myself so much with these players at this stage. But let me know if I'm missing anything on Madison, but I'd give him an 8.5, maybe just a slight nudge. Would you give him a slight nudge in a player rating above Vicario, like an 8.7 if you're that sort of person that likes to give a nudge, in one way or another? You just both give him an 8.5. I might both give them that. And Darkson G saying 8 is fair for Mads because in his first game back, and he only played 60 minutes. This is the thing, right? Only played 60 minutes. And I said this, a million times already this stream, Darkson G, but I just, of all the Madison brilliant performances, it for me wasn't the very best by any means. It was just what we know we can get from him, which is a really, really good creative play and can be a goal scorer, can be a big impact player in games like that. J Max saying that ball matters whipped out to Sonny from the middle of the pitch was quality, 100%, man, 100%. And I think the whole goal was actually quite well worked. And even though it took a good deflection, and a fortunate one to Bergfall, I just don't think the manner in which we orchestrated the move, getting it out wide to Bentancur's cross to Sonny, who was all on his own. It was dangerous. And, Man United were struggling to deal with it. 100% agree with you there. Going to take this front three, and then we're going to move on over to the BigUp platform, everybody. So do get ready to join me over there. Would love to have you on screen with me as well, please, if you can, because there's a cool video highlights, that we'll be breaking down, like I said before, something that's not even possible on this YouTube platform, something that we'd get in trouble for copyright reasons. And then also, like I said earlier, I don't even think it kind of comes out. I think it come out kind of laggy. It's sort of frame by frame type of style. So it's not really as aesthetically pleasing as it is over there. So we're going to be doing a cool video highlight breakdown, going through all the various key moments of the game, just giving our reactions to them, drawing on the board, seeing if we can point out anything important. So please join me over for that. And also helps out the channel a ton. You do help out Dave and I a lot by joining us over there, and even also coming on screen and joining me for those programs. So really would appreciate it. Jacko Visions says, Dano. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. Kulusevski. So Dan, others, let me know, why is SofaScore given Kulusevski such a poor rating of a 6.4? Dan maybe is right by saying a slightly inefficient day from Kulu. I don't know if he had the most creative day, but I don't think he was poor by any means. I don't think he gave the ball away as much as he has maybe in recent games. I think in other recent games he looked very tired and very fatigued and ended up, I think, giving the ball away more often than he needed to for a guy that is so well renowned for keeping the ball and so well renowned for holding the ball up for us. It did feel like in recent games, he started to kind of show that fatigue of dribbling into blind alleys, into areas that ended up, putting him under trouble and, forcing it, kind of into a bad area, and then it just ended up sort of petering out, and we would lose possession. Whereas Kulusevski is normally very smart, very intelligent in how he takes his space, what areas to go into, what areas to try to venture into with the ball. And I just think in maybe the games before this one, he did show the signs of fatigue of a guy that's just been playing so much football that maybe he couldn't even see straight anymore when he was when he was out there. But in this game, yeah, it didn't have, I would say, the most creative of displays. Had at one point, a really, really good chance, if not one of the better chances in the second half, I think, to put away the second goal. And that's my thing with Kulu, is that even though he's probably one of our best creators in the team, sometimes he's a very wasteful player. And I think that second, that opportunity to grab the second goal to give ourselves that peace of mind, give ourselves that insurance. I think he did really poor there. It was once again, an opportunity for Kulu there. I don't know how he doesn't score it. Really, I really don't know how he doesn't score it. All he has to do is just lace it into the back of the net and just hit it towards the near post. And the near post has been his favorite side this season. So all of a sudden, then he shoots it towards the far post, and hits it straight into the player and, gets it blocked. And I also would say there's no reason that shot should be getting blocked either from Kulu. Or I think it does go straight at the keeper, if I recall, but it's poor. It was poor for me from Kulu. And it just is it's a sign of, I think, the fact that this team doesn't really have that many clinical players in it. We have decent creative players, and now Sonny, Kulusevski, Madison, plenty players, etc. But not a lot of them, I would say, have been very clinical this season. Sonny hasn't been very clinical, even though we know he usually is. Hasn't been. Madison, not always the most clinical of players, I would say, probably has been for the most part, better than others, but still, you wouldn't associate him with that. I wouldn't say Kulusevski's ever been a clinical player. We're really missing those type of guys to put away chances in big moments that have that sort of ice cold streak through them, that ruthless streak through them, if you get what I mean. But 6.5, yeah, I'd probably say maybe that is fair to Kulu, or something like a 6.5. Maybe if you want to go as high as a 7, let me know. Kulu's right foot, says San Antonio Hotspur. Darks NG, Kulu is now more suited to play as he can because he can physically fight other midfielders while he can't run out of possession, while he can't outrun opposition fullbacks. I think for Kulu, I don't mind him on the right. I think certain games it really works, having him on the right because he can cut inside. He can't knock him off the ball once he does cut inside, and he knows how to pick up good pockets of space. It's just that with Kulu for me, and I wonder if he has a better chance of scoring goals, Dark Sun G, maybe if he is allowed to play through the middle, because then he doesn't have to cover nearly as much distance sometimes. He can sort of put himself in various dangerous central areas and, work his magic. Whereas on the right, he knows he has to really get up and down, really has to work hard, but then also has to, I guess, find, different shooting angles that maybe just don't necessarily work for him. Perhaps he has a better chance of scoring goals if he were playing through the middle. So, interesting thought there. Kulu's in the final third. He passes. We're poor and we're not up to standard. Thanks for letting me know, Foggy Foam. Like I said, I'm struggling to find all the good reasons for why maybe it was such a considerably low, right? That's such a big difference, such a big drop off in his rating versus the rest, according to SofaScore. Let's go on to Matisse Tell and then Sun Hung Min, and then we'll wrap this thing up. And I'll see you guys over on the BigUp platform. With Matisse Tell, I think he actually had a pretty clean, tidy display. It's just that he did have chances to score. I think he should have scored on the day, whichever one of those chances, which we will be looking at. So give me your opinion over on BigUp, which one of them he should have put away. But Matisse Tell, I think, yeah, had an opportunity at one point to score, would have gotten us the second. But I think he did very well to find himself those opportunities. I think his movement was good. I think his hold up play was good for the most part. Like he's very tidy, has good, nice sort of technical, feet and the way that he can hold it up and play others in. He's just sort of a nice quickness to his game. I thought he looked actually quite clean and quite tidy. He wasn't really doing the style of hold up play that we would get with Richarlison or with Solanke, where they're really looking to, pin their guy back and have their guy with their back to goal. But Tell, does it in the way that plenty of other, maybe smaller, maybe leaner strikers do, where they kind of move about in those little half spaces in between the midfield and the back line and pop in and about. And I think he did a good job, Matisse Tell, and sort of linking play with others, but then also just putting himself in good areas. Just criticism I would have for him is maybe the finishing boots weren't necessarily on that day, because I think one or two of those he probably should have done either better, should have just put on a better effort, to challenge the goalkeeper, or could have even put away one or two of those. Tell should have had a hat trick, in my opinion, says Darks NG, because Onana isn't a classy goalkeeper like our Big Vic. I never have rated Onana, Darks NG. Never rated Onana, so I'm 100% in agreement with you there. Should he have had a hat trick? Maybe that's a little harsh. I don't know. Let me know, everybody. What do you think? Should Matisse Tell should he had a brace? Should he had a hat trick? Let me know. Stevie Frazier, thanks, man. Best working midfielder around. Thanks for joining the chat, sir. And also join me over for the BigUp platform stream later, Stevie. I would really appreciate it, my man. But thanks for popping in. With Tell, yeah, we'll look at the highlights, Dark Sun G, and, we'll maybe see which ones he could have done better with. But anybody in the chat, let me know. Matisse Tell, give me a rating. Let me know what you think of his game. I thought it was pretty solid, pretty tidy for the most part. But yes, I see what you guys mean by the fact that he did probably need to put away a couple of those. On to Sonny, I'd give him, I don't know, like with Tell and Sonny, I'd give like a similar rating. Sonny did really well, played a huge part in the goal, in the left-footed, cross or shot, whatever you want to call it. He did a good job putting it back into the danger area. So brilliant from Sonny there. And I think, was dangerous running at fullbacks, trying to create moments. I don't think he was really sloppy or anything either. It's not like he had any bad giveaways that I can recall. Wasn't as dangerous as I would have liked, because I think when he did get possession in some decent areas to try to take on his fullback, I remember a lot of the times it ended up just sort of petering out for a corner or petering out for something else that didn't end up really leading to any real dangerous shots on goal. That's what maybe I'm trying to say. I can't recall Sonny ever having any real dangerous strikes on goal, but I don't think he gave it away too often, and I don't think he was sloppy in possession. And I think for the most part, put himself in dangerous areas to make things happen. So it's just a a solid, I'd say mostly positive performance from Sonny. So I'd go for like a 7.5 maybe. With I'd probably give Sonny more of a 7.5, and then I'd probably give Tell something around a 7, just because Tell had the chances. Sonny, I think, was more of a creator on the day than he really was a goal threat, but he did have moments himself, I think, to try to get a better shot on goal. There was that one point too where Sonny kind of was carrying it through the penalty area and then skipped past one or two players, and then for some reason just couldn't really get the shot off, in the at the right time, and maybe he could have scored there. I think he was solid on the day though. Wasn't the best player by any means, but I don't think he did a whole lot wrong either. So I'd go 7.5 and 7 for Tell. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think. One in the first half and two in the second half. Yeah, I see what you mean for Matisse Tell. Stevie Frazier, big up, says J Max. Some 6.5. Derek Hutchinson. Wow. Sonny could have had 2 to 3 assists, but Tell and Kulu kicked it straight to Anana. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, Dark Sun G. If it was more of a creative performance for Sonny, and if the finishing boots were on for Matisse Tell or Kulusevski, would be talk about the Sonny performance a bit different. I thought he was solid creatively. I just think maybe he had one or two chances himself to fire a good shot at Onana, like you're saying, Dark Sun G. Well, everybody, those are my player ratings. That's what I have in store for you guys here. I am going to put in the link to the big upstream, which will be happening pretty much right now. So I'll be heading over there very, very shortly. I'm just going to be putting the link into the chat. I would really appreciate anybody that does to follow me over, because you help out Dave and I a ton just by following us over there. Opportunities like this that we get are only because of you guys and all the support that you show us. Apologies, I'm about to have a siren pass me at this moment in time while I'm giving the plug. But I really would appreciate all the support over there. I'm going to put in the link now. Then mute myself. Sorry, I just kind of mute myself as the siren is passing. But I would really appreciate all the support over there. We're going to be doing cool video highlight breakdowns. It's something, like I said, again, we don't do over on this platform on YouTube because it's just simply not possible. We get in trouble for it. And it, I think, allows us to talk about some of these moments that I might have missed or I was struggling to remember, whether it's Sonny, maybe getting a potential assist, or Matisse Tell's lack of finishing. We'll be taking a look at all that. So we'll be looking at the fine angles, the fine print, the fine video highlights over on Big Up. So join me over there, please. Would really appreciate it. And it just goes a long way in just helping Dave and I with everything we do. I'll try to share my screen to kind of show you guys what it looks like, and then I'll finally be out of here. So this is what it would look like over on the Big Up platform. You can see it there. You can even see like plenty of streams that we've done in the past as well, everybody. So we are active over there. So everything from neutral watch alongs to these Tottenham hangover breakdown shows. I think over the summer, when there's kind of a bit more of a break in the schedule, we're going to be doing a hybrid version of fan shows over there, ones that would be entirely free in case you're not a fan show member and you've been thinking about becoming one. So plenty of stuff over there. Really would appreciate the support over there. And I will see you this pretty much immediately. So see you all over there. Thank you guys so much for